Okay, welcome everyone to the second part of our literature course, the novel basics. After we covered the poetry basics last time, we're gonna complete now with the novel basics. Okay. First of all, I should know what is a novel. A novel is like a long story, a long story. If I'm talking about the novel, I should know something very important that I have here, something called a publisher for the novel. Okay, I have here different publishers like York, like Penguin, and also like the Classic Reader. So when I have them in my novel, or I have these kind of novels, I should know that they are presenting the novels in different ways. Maybe I have the same novelist, but I have different novels. I have different novels like York edition, like Penguin edition, like Classic Reader edition. So, and also you can see here that they do not have the same drawings. They do not have the same drawings. Maybe they have the same events and the same characters inside, but the publication, some books are provided with CDs and others are not, and so on. Some of them they have videos of the same content in the book, and some others are not, and so on. Okay, so that's the very beginning that we should note about the idea of the novel. Okay. Um, if we move to the elements of the novel, we should know basic things about the novel. For example, in the first thing, I'm talking about the setting. The setting means two things. I'm talking here about the place, and also I'm talking about the time. If I talk about the place, for example, I'm talking about England. This is the place of the events, for example, and this is the time. Maybe I'm talking about exactly the time using hours and minutes, or maybe I'm talking about the period of time itself, like the 19th century. At this time, I'm talking about from 800 or 1800 till 1899. Okay, at this time, I call this period the 19th century. So the setting here means the place and the time. The second thing here, I'm talking about the characters. In the characters, I'm talking about two types. I'm talking about the major character or the minor character, or the main character and the minor character. The major character is the most important one in the novel, okay? And this is the one who make the events of the novel move in a perfect way. This is the most important character in the novel, the major character. The minor character, I'm talking about what? I'm talking about what's here. I'm talking about characters with less importance. They are not of the same importance like they are not the same like the major characters, but they are helping him to be managing the events. Without them, the novel will not complete. So we need the minor character and the major character. Like in one of the most famous story of Sherlock Holmes, I have Sherlock Holmes as the main character, but Dr. Watson, his friend, is a minor character. He's not a main character in the events of the novel. Okay. The next part here is about the plot. The plot here, I'm talking about the events uh, of the novel and the sequence of these events. You have here some kind of arrangement for this one. For example, number one, you start with the exposition when you know more about the setting, the characters, and so on. And then you have the rising action. You begin to have the events of the novel moving in a nice way or in a complicated way till you reach the climax, the top event. So this one is the top one, and this is the part when we have everything complicated. When we began to solve it, we began to have the falling action. And when we finish and we are going near the end of the novel, we say that this is the resolution or the end of the novel. Okay, so this is called the plot of the novel, the sequence of events in the novel, and it's moving in this lovely way. Okay, at this time we have also something called theme. The theme is like a message or it's the main idea that the writer or the novelist want to deliver throughout his novel. Okay, so the message or the main idea. Okay, so for example, I'm talking about the idea of suffering, the idea of criminality, poverty, and corruption. These things can be related to each other and they can lead to different things. They can tell us more about the changes in the society. They can show us why the people were suffering and why they have any kind of revolution at any kind of time. They have the main or the same reason: suffering, poverty, criminality. The people are killing each other to have food or money. The people are so poor they cannot afford any kind of thing to their families. The suffering of the families after the father is imprisoned or the children are working when they are young. Corruption when you're talking about the money that you spend it but in illegal way and so on. So these things can make the same thing happen all the time. And many of the novelists like Charles Dickens, he was attracting the reader attention that take care something happening in a wrong way and you should try to fix it. Okay, otherwise you will lose everything. Okay. The next idea here, if I'm talking about any kind of novel, I should study the historical background. I should go back in history and know why we have any kind of changes. For example, in the 18th and the 19th century, we have the Industrial Revolution. In the Industrial Revolution, the people were working before in farming. As you see here, they are working in their lands. But after that, the people began to move to factories. Why? Because we have there the modern machines. So if I'm working in farming, I need some kind of animals, I need some kind of workers in my field. In the factories, the job that the maybe 100 men were doing before, no, now I can do it only with two or three, and I have machines. So I save here lots of time, lots of effort, but at the same time, many things began to happen in the wrong way. The people began to lose their jobs in the farms and fields and also in factories, which mean that they did not have money or food. So the people began to steal and kill to get the money for their families. It's very important to know the context of the events or why the events are happening at this time. Okay, if I talk about the narration of the of the novel, I'm talking here about three types of narration. I'm talking about the first person. In the first person, I'm using some pronouns like I, like me, like my, and like mine. Okay, why the novelist is going to use the first person narrator? If I say that this is the main character in a novel and I'm the reader of this novel, I'm reading this novel, how come that I'm going to have the same feelings or to share the feelings with this kind of character? He's telling me what. That's why I'm using here I, me, or mine. So you are going to have the same feeling or to share the same feeling of the main character in the novel or the characters of the novel. In the second person, you are using the pronouns you and your and so on, but this one is not commonly used in the novels. The third type, which is very common in novel, the idea of the third person limited and the third person omniscient or omniscient. In the third person, you are talking about someone who's not here. Okay, so you are using he or she or it while describing the events of the novel, and maybe your vision about or what you know about the novel is limited. Limited. You do not know everything. In the omniscient, or the omniscient, okay, you know everything. You know all the details about the thing that are happening in the novel, omniscient or omniscient view. Okay, the style. The style of the writer here, and this is the picture of the greatest writer in my point of view in English, Charles Dickens. The style can help you to understand more about the novel itself. Okay, so the poet here or the novelist is reflecting the social circumstances or the social conditions and the financial conditions, political conditions into his novels. For example, one of the best techniques for Charles Dickens was using suggestive names. He was using symbolic names that they can give you the meaning or they can give you hints about the character before you start reading. For example, one of his character, her name was Rose. Okay, Rose like a flower, and this one showed that she's cute. Before you read that novel, she's kind and cute and so on. You have a lady, and her name is Mrs. Mann. Okay, in the novel of Oliver Twist. So Mrs. Mann, she acts like a man, means that she's somehow cruel, she is heartless, maybe, she's tough, she's rough, and so on. You have a man, and his name is Mr. Murdstone. Murd like kill, stone like rock. So it means that this man is heartless. This man also is cruel, and so on. So before you read the story or the novel of Dickens, you know that he's using the names not haphazardly, but he means something with these names. He also used a technique which is called foreshadowing. In the foreshadowing, he's giving you hints about what will happen in the novel. So, in the foreshadowing technique, he's talking here about using or giving you hints about the place or about the weather. Maybe the place that he's describing is dirty, is ugly, is small, and so on. It shows you that there's a kind of suffering happening here. If he's talking about the weather and he said that it's cold, windy, raining heavily, it's muddy, you know that also there will be a kind of suffering in the events here. If you're talking about symbols, he can use some symbols to give you messages or to give you some hints about things happening in the novel, like the idea of keys, for example. The idea of the keys here, it shows you the idea of control. Someone in the novel of David Copperfield, her name is Miss Murdstone, she got the keys of the house from the house owner. So it means here that she's going to control all over the house. Okay, exaggeration of events. Sometimes he exaggerates while he's describing something, but when he's exaggerating, he's doing that for a reason. You should feel the suffering of this character. You should feel the happiness of this character. Okay, for example, Oliver Twist, he was working for 7 days and he was not eating a lot and he was not afraid of the animals and so on. He did not meet thugs while he's moving till he reached London. When he reached London, he did not meet anyone who treated him in a good way. All the time in the novel, Oliver was born in a workhouse. He was working with some thieves and so on, but he was still naive. He did not change all over the course of the novel, which is so strange. Okay, also about this one. Appearance versus reality. Sometimes you have some characters when you see them for the first time and you see their clothes and their behavior and so on, you may be tricked. Okay, and the reality of these people is different. One of the main characters in his novel, Fagin, at the beginning, when he met Oliver Twist in the novel of Oliver Twist, he was welcoming them as if he was a guest in a hotel, asking him to eat sizzling sausage and so on, as a kind of welcoming the boy. And he was treating or teaching him how to steal the people by a kind of game. He said that we are playing, we are having fun. The idea of appearance versus the reality. And other times he make the appearance show something about the reality, like the character of the Undertaker in the novel of Oliver Twist. His name was Mr. Sowerberry. He was wearing dark clothes all the time. He was wearing black all the time. It shows that he had the same character or the same feeling or the same mentality like his clothes. He was wearing black and dark clothes to show that he is evil inside. Okay, so he this kind of appearance versus or sorry, appearance shows reality. It shows the evil of this man, Mr. Sowerberry. Okay, that was the end of the novel part. Hopefully you like it till we meet at the last part of the drama basics. Thank you so much.